we go. Comics.fm. Jpblack here. I love talking about comics. I love radio. I love combining those two things together, two passions. And when we talk passion, the most passionate guy that I know, named Jacob, is actually here with me. Jacob Beals, welcome to Comics.fm.
Oh, thanks, JP. I'm happy to be here.
You are my second guest.
Yep.
And, you know, Bobby Adon, great job as our first guest. And he was very proud. You know, he said, I jumped the line. He said, I got first in line ahead of the guy who has a podcast called First in Line, which is you. And I said, well, that might be true, Bobby. However, my microphone didn't work in your episode, and now this one works in this episode. So, you know, first, lower quality, you know, no offense to the talent, but second episode, we're working on things. You know, I look at it like Empire Strikes Back is better than Star Wars. Terminator 2 is better than Terminator.
It is.
All of those things. I would say even Bring It On Part 2, not better than Bring It On.
Oh, Bring It On Again?
Again, see, I don't even know the name of it.
Yeah, that's the name. I didn't make that up. That's for real.
American Psycho 2, not better than American Psycho.
Oh, no.
So you're not one of those. You're a good sequel.
Oh, okay? Thanks, JP.
So the book that we chose is Superman Red Son. We're going to get into that. But what I like talking to you about, Jacob, is you and I currently work in the same building, and it allows us a chance to talk about the nerdy things and still put on our radio hat when we got to be radio people, but being able to actually nerd out a little bit. You are the morning show host on 92.5 KJJY, the voice of Central Iowa for all things country music, right?
Yeah, well, we're Iowa's country station. Yeah.
I said the wrong position.
That's okay. Don't worry. I mean, I have to say it every day, so I get used to it. But
right, you have like like in private parts, they're like WNBC.
Yeah.
You got to say it like Amos. So you have it ingrained in your head how to say the positioner.
Well, it's funny too, because like I feel like I say it most breaks, but then there are breaks where it's like, you can't say everything. You got to say the app. You got to say, you know, you can stream us. Sometimes there's a sponsor. We'll do a section. We have 90s at noon, which I host. Right. And, you know, you got to put that in there. And it just sounds like you don't want to do a whole paragraph. You know?
No, at a certain point, you know, it kind of like when you take all that and let's say like somebody was talking about like endorsements. Yeah. Now it's like a flea market. It's like QVC on the radio. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, it's like, you know, they want to hear the music. So just like shut up and hit play. And sometimes I say that on my radio show on 98.1 KJJY. I'll do, you know what? I don't have anything better to say than this song. So I'm just going to hit play. And I kind of make a joke out of it. Almost like I want them to know that I'm barely sharing the stage. Like it's like I'll see like the Homer Simpson gif, you know, where he's like in the bushes. That's me. I'm like, I'm just going to, I'm going to see my way out. This is Led Zeppelin. I'm JP. It's a little, just stick with Zeppelin, you know. So that's kind of my approach there. You not only have the morning show gig, you're also the production assistant on the station, making sure commercials sound good, making sure the traffic logs are all updated. And you also host a podcast. Tell me about the podcast.
Yeah, I do a movie podcast in the building called First in Line, and I just talk about movies, ones I see, new ones I see, and I just it's a lot of fun because it kind of gives me an outlet, and it's cool. I get to do that at work, you know, it's something I enjoy. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Why is it First in Line?
Well, initially it was like because I go to movies like opening night a lot. Yeah. You know, I like to see movies early as I can.
And not just like, you know how people will go for like a big Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And people go at midnight. It's a big thing. You're going to go see, like, give me the name of a mediocre movie that you were first in line for.
Oh, a recent one. I'd say like one from last year that I remember I went on opening weekend that was just like very middle of the road was The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. That's probably one of the funniest ones I went to, opening night, where it was like, why did I do? Well, then, I just did it for fun, but I love movies.
The people there are like, you know, this Marvel movie doesn't open until next week. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm actually here for The Beekeeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens a lot, actually. It'll be like random movies like that. And I just love movies so much, and I get excited for
R-E-S-B-C-T. I'm going to slap these two parts together because we just got interrupted by the first guest on Comics.fm. Bobby Adon, he must have known you were on this episode. He's like, I'm going to call JP while he's recording with Jacob, and I'm going to mess up his show. So We got a little drama. I mean, I just launched this show, Comics.fm, and now we've got guest 1 battling because he doesn't want guest 2 to outshine him.
Oh, no.
It's kind of like when, on the old Johnny Carson show, they would go on the couch and they would move to the next spot. Bobby, you got to move to the next spot down the couch. Your show is over.
I always loved when they do that. And I loved when I don't know if it was Johnny Carson so much, but like on Conan and things when Norm Macdonald would be on there and he would move to the next spot and he would always like take over.
Well, I'm saying if Courtney Thorne Smith is being interviewed by Conan and it's going downhill, Norm will be the savior for sure.
Yeah, he was the best.
So you stood in line for The Beekeeper with Jason Statham, and everyone there's like, does this guy know like what movie's coming out tonight?
It was one of those movies where like the crowd wasn't really that big. I mean, it's Jason Statham. There were a decent amount of people there, and I went with a couple friends. And I'll probably do the same thing for his upcoming movie, Working Man. It's funny how they all have like these job titles. As like
like the accountant.
Yeah, the accountant's really good. I don't know if you've ever seen.
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Even though I have a fear of real life accountants, should I still see it?
I don't think this will help that fear because he's like a dangerous accountant.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are. They make the numbers work.
I really like I like some dumb movies, but I really like the Transporter movies. Those are fun.
Yeah. It's always a name like he's a the something, right?
Yep.
I'm going to say the attractive bald man because he would be like one of the guys that who do I want to play me in a movie? Statham's on the list. You know what I mean?
He'd be good, JP.
Yeah,
He'd just be very British.
Yeah, very British. I mean, I could be British. I mean, I like Monty Python. Old school Bruce Willis was always on my list for who would play me too. So you host First in Line. You're the morning show host on the radio as well. And how did you get into radio?
Oh, well, I went to school for journalism, and I kind of knew I wanted to do something like within the media. Actually, when I was at Iowa State, I am kind of I wrote for the newspaper, and I was kind of leaning more towards print, online stuff.
Was it the Daily Planet?
No. Speaking of what we're going to talk about, but it was the Iowa State Daily, so it was close.
Oh, kinda. Close. Okay.
Yeah. There was always a joke that if I ever got mad and wanted to go independent there, I could start a paper, the Daily State of Iowa.
There you go.
Just swap around the names.
Just move it around a little bit.
but I needed an internship to graduate, and I went to the internship fair, and it's kind of funny. I just saw they had we have plaques here at the station of different artists, and I saw
they're like fake gold records, right?
Yeah. I don't think they're real gold. No.
There's.
They're supposed to be.
They're gold colored. I mean, that's that
they're
counts.
cool. I still when I came here for the first time, I was amazed by them. But that's what they had at the fair.
Yeah.
And the job fair. Yeah. And I saw them there, and I was like, "Whoa, I like country music." Mm-hmm. And I asked them what it was about, and they're like, "Well, if you like country music, you should apply." Mm-hmm. And I did, and I listened to some of these stations growing up too, so I kind of was familiar, and I got the internship, and then they liked me after that, and they hired me. So
I'll tell you what, I had a boss a long time ago, and he told me, it was actually my first program director, and he told me his one rule with hiring people was, do I want to see this person's face every day?
Oh, that's a good idea.
And that was it. In other words, and I'm not making it about appearance, more of just is this the kind of person I want on my team? In other words, skill set, knowledge and history and experience, attitude, enthusiasm, work ethic, being passionate, all that goes a long way. And obviously you've honed your craft. You've basically become, now you've got the top spot on the morning show. You are the big man on campus, if you will.
Yeah, and a lot of it I've just learned gradually over time. It's amazing how much you learn from just listening back to yourself and sitting down with people like I know we have a guy, Danger, here at the station.
He's going to be on the show, Danger. At some point.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so a little tease for the future. Yeah. He's my PD, and just sit and talk with him about a lot of things. And Tony with production, I've learned so much about editing spots and how to make it sound tighter, how to mix music and make it make sense, in audio form, So
well, you've been sort of like a sponge over the years, right? You absorb things from other people, then you also make your own, and I love that. Now I got to ask you, now that you've elevated, you went from intern part-time. Nights, right? You were doing
Yeah,
nights?
yep.
And
Nights,
then, and then midday, producer, now full-on morning show. This is it. Like, how old are you, Jacob?
I'm 30, not 30
You are
exactly.
now
Sorry.
30.
I was going to say 29 and then.
Most people never reach this this level of fame and the hype. You are at the top. You're the morning show host.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I hope you've got all the things you want to get. So we're talking about probably, $500,000. What are we looking at salary wise? $500,000?
Oh, no.
400,000?
No.
300,000? That's okay. 300,000 is okay.
I wish, but
Oh, is it 200,000 only? Is it 200?
no, still a little high, but it's that's the thing though. Like radio, I've learned pretty quick that you're never gonna get like super rich doing it, probably, unless you're like a Howard Stern type.
Sure.
Guy.
Is it 150?
No, I wish.
125?
No, that'd be cool.
Okay, so salary aside, for the love of the
Yeah.
game, we'll say, how about this? When they say, well, what are you looking for? You're like, listen, I'm the morning show guy now. I'm going to demand certain things. Do you ever ask for the different color M&Ms to be separated in different bowls? Or you say, I'm not going on the air until the green ones are over there and the red ones are over there. You ever do that?
Oh, no. No, normally more it's like the opposite. Like it's more like you gotta talk about this morning because we need to push it or something.
I think you're playing it all wrong. You got to ask for stuff,
Oh, that's okay.
You mentioned Howard Stern. Any talk about maybe having strippers in the studio? I'm just saying.
He had a lot of crazy stuff. I saw his movie.
I know it doesn't fit the format, but if it's like, hey, Jacob said every Friday he needs a local stripper on the radio. Probably wouldn't get that.
It'd be very out of character for me.
Yeah.
The M&Ms would actually make more sense because I do love M&Ms.
That's true. Well, maybe a girl that brings you M&Ms, but she's fully clothed. Just a thought. Just
a nice girl.
Let me be your agent. I'm going to get this stuff in the works for you, okay?
Okay, thanks, JP.
I want 10% of all of it. So basically, for every 10 green M&Ms, I get one green M&M.
I mean, that's pretty fair.
Okay, so make sure we're good there. You and I talked about the new Superman trailer.
Yeah.
When it came out, James Gunn has reboot the DC expanded universe.
Yep.
Extended or expanded? What's the?
I don't know what it is now. I know it was one thing at one point, and then they changed
they didn't
it.
They didn't want to do DCU because it sounds like MCU.
Yep.
So then they did DCEU. I just don't know if it's extended or expanded, but either way, rebooting that. Here's the thing. I really like a lot of the DC movies that have come out in the last 5-10 years.
Yeah. I think I was one of the only people who liked The Flash.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like The Flash. Tons of great cameos,
Yep.
So when James Gunn got involved with the Suicide Squad, the second Suicide Squad, and that was a lot better than the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that when you thought, okay, if we get dare I say, the Guardians treatment on this side of it, now we got something?
I think so, because one thing I love that he did with Guardians of the Galaxy is, a lot of the Marvel movies, they kind of feel like they could all be done by the same director, even though I love a lot of them, but they kind of have this similar tone.
Yeah.
But not Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
You watch that and you're like, this feels like James Gunn. He puts a lot of heart and soul into his movies.
It's a different style for sure. And everyone's got their style, right? Zack Snyder has a style. Everyone's got a style with things. So you and I saw the trailer. We both liked it. And at that point, I was telling you, did you ever read Superman Red Son? And you said you haven't, but you know of it. And you were going to watch the animated movie, but you didn't watch it yet, right?
Nope, I haven't watched it.
Okay, I like that. Because, you should probably read the book before movies in general, because my opinion on that, I'm not trying to be like a snob, book is better. I'm not even one of those people. I like to have the imagery. First off, we're talking comics, right?
Yeah,
so you already have images. You have amazing art. On an actual book, which I'm not a normal novel reader, so.
I'm not either.
I get why people say, well, you don't know. But, movies give you the visual. But comics already have the visual. So it allows you to kind of compare and that kind of thing. And we're going to cover other things on this show that have movie or TV show adaptations like The Boys and Preacher. And we're going to cover all those at some point. But this one, you and I talk about Superman. And I like Superman, but I really like what if or Elseworld kind of stories.
Yeah.
Where what if Superman was not... What if Superman's ship did not land in Kansas and we're on the other side of the world? He lands in the Ukraine. He gets raised during the Cold War all through the years and becomes basically a hero to the Soviet people.
Yeah.
What if? And that's what this comic was. When you talk about Red Son, what are some things you really liked about what they did in the comic?
Well, I like that it was like a what if story in the DC stuff, like everything you know about Superman and other characters too, like Batman and Wonder Woman who come into it. But also just of our own history, it makes you think about things like there's stuff in it where stuff gets switched out, like things that actually happened don't happen, you know?
Right.
And it's very interesting. It also flips a lot of like tropes on their head of like villains and what is a villain, what is a hero, what happens when one person goes to power and isn't so focused on this other thing, but maybe trying to do something for the greater good. And it's really interesting in that way.
It is. It's also, are people heroes or regular people? Are they a product of their environment? Do they grow up to be the way they are because of where they live or how they, and so it does flip a lot of things on its head there. There are some cameos of other superheroes, of course, in there. You're going to see Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Batman as well. These aren't spoilers. It's part of it there. But you have a different take on different things. So, Brainiac's going to shrink a different city. He's going to, there are those, he's going to, a city in Soviet Union where it's because a lot of that is just completely reversed. And then Lex Luthor is now basically trying to help the United States and battle this evil Russian Soviet Superman, because at this point, well, that's a superpower, basically like an atomic weapon of sorts by our biggest enemy during the time. So now it becomes Lex Luthor gets with Lois Lane, and now it becomes, okay, well, that's definitely a role reversal that you don't see anywhere else.
Yep, exactly. And Lex is still like Lex Luthor, but what they do with his character is really interesting, and I really like that.
Yeah, it's something that he still is super jealous of Superman, right? That's always been kind of his motivation. And it's just, he's on the other side. So now we like him because we're Americans and we have to like the American hero and we have to despise the Soviet hero. That's just kind of how it goes. However, Superman is still Superman. So he is going to still think about, what should I do? Like, I know the right thing to do is to help these people, but then they want me to become this leader of the Soviet Union and talk to these people. And he's always at kind of a moral dilemma now because it becomes, well, how am I supposed to do this? I know the right thing. I know I'm supposed to help people, but he's put into a situation where he can't be the Superman you know and love.
Yeah, he's always having like these internal conflicts in it, and you see him play it out because he talks about it to himself or other people, other characters, and it's really cool to see Superman do that because I think one thing I love about Superman is when you see like kind of the human moments of him and like how he's not necessarily perfect, He has all these dilemmas, and I love that they really play that out in the story. Yeah,
very true. For a guy that can essentially do anything, very flawed in general, and you start to see kind of that as he kind of analyzes things. So you have different moments where Lex Luthor and the United States are trying to take down this Soviet Superman, from bringing in sort of like a Bizarro style Superman to bringing in other superheroes and all of that. And overall, ending wise, I don't want to kind of like get into that so much, but the idea is a little bit of an open-ended ending, enough where it becomes, wait a minute, what just happened? Did this whole thing repeat itself? Is this kind of is Earth going to become Krypton in the future? All these cool things that you get to go through your mind with. So I thought the ending was fantastic. It definitely leaves you thinking about it more.
I like that too. Yeah, and it's a mind-bending ending that I didn't see coming, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Right. You just think there's going to be some kind of closure, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to die. Something's going to happen. But all of a sudden it becomes, I don't know, because they go into the next era in the future, in the far future, in the way, 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 way far future. And it's like, oh, okay. And very interesting to see what happens. And just a little bit of a mirror on society as well with all the paranoia of the Cold War era. I mean, think about this. We're talking about in the 1950s, at the heart of do anything, relatively anything commie related, you're the bad guy. And all of a sudden it's like, well, that's Superman. And it becomes this enemy. The Soviets have this power. It's very interesting to see that on there. You like the book, then I take it, correct?
Oh, yeah, I really liked it. I loved it.
Yeah. Mark Millar is the author. It's great. Definitely check that out. And do you have a favorite panel from the comic?
I have a couple, actually.
Okay.
I have a funny one and a cool one.
Do you have it there or no?
Yeah, I have it marked.
Oh, okay. I don't have mine. It's in a box gone, so normally I like to show it to the screen, but if you want to show some stuff on the screen, that'd be great.
Oh, for sure. The funny one is this one right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically Lex Luthor saying, "Oh man, if Superman was born in America, I bet we would have been best friends." I just thought that was funny because
yeah,
it's like
he actually thinks they would have been so friendly to each other, so alike in their overall beliefs, and was like, it's just he was like, no, dude, like you would. It's just you're horrible. You're just now on our side. Right?
Yep, exactly. And then another thing, this is kind of earlier on in the book, but Superman's having a conversation with the other guy, the brother character. I can't remember his name. It's what is it? It might be on here.
Oh, you mean like Stalin's son? Sort of?
Yep. And it's interesting how they're both they grew up similar, but they're different. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And you see the effects on each one. And I like when they're having this conversation, but I like that panel right there. I think that's cool. When Superman's flying away, you got the Scarecrow there. Just a cool silhouette.
Very, very cool imagery there. And I know for me, when I got to see Batman join, and he's in a winter Russian hat.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Oh. I was like, now I want an action figure. I think they actually have a statue or a figure of that one. I think there's a pack you can buy where it's Red Sun Superman and that Batman, that Wonder Woman, that Green Lantern, it all kind of from this book you can buy. But I really like just any kind of image where that, just because it's like, it's cold. It's, it's Russia. It's cold.
The whole stuff with Batman is cool. Like, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it's neat. And you're right. He looks the part.
Well, yeah. So if Superman, just throwing this out there without giving anything away, if Superman is a bad guy and Lex Luthor's a good guy, and we send Batman to go, do some stuff, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy?
Yep.
We don't know. And that's what I kind of love. So it definitely throws everything. I think also if you are not really into Superman, right? You're just like, whatever. He's got, does everything. A lot of people just don't like Superman. You would like this book anyway, because it's totally different. And it's almost more of just a straight up Marvel what if, DC Elseworlds of what if this were to happen. And,
exactly.
Opens your mind for sure on a lot of things.
It's cool. And you're right. I think if somebody was just gonna approach it like that and they didn't know anything, it'd still be interesting,
Definitely. Can you show the front of the book for me?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if you're listening to the podcast, definitely check out the video on YouTube as well. Subscribe on there to get all of them. Superman, Red Sun, Mark Millar. I think it's like 3 large size issues instead of the normal 6 small ones. So very quick read, but definitely different. And now the animated movie. Now I'm going to have to watch it. I think it's on Max,
Me too.
right?
I think so. I hope I can find it on there because I know they took a lot of stuff off recently.
Oh, okay.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's still on there. But yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, I will tell you, nobody does animated stuff like DC.
They do a good job.
The Batman series, the Superman series, the new Harley Quinn series, which is, not for kids, just throwing that one out there. I love it, but it's they really do it. They do it well with that. So I'm looking forward to watching this one on there.
Nice. I am too.
If you were let's say you were in a superhero movie and they cast Jacob Beals as a character.
Yeah.
But it's also centered around your life. What do you think your abilities would be? What would be like the plot, and who would play you?
Oh man, I think I don't know. I think I would be like. I think it'd be cool to have super strength. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Just straight up super strength, like almost Hulk or Thing levels.
Yeah, especially if you're just like a normal guy and you had that, it would look neat.
Oh, like not being a big guy.
Yeah, I would love that.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
And then I don't know, maybe like Channing Tatum or something. I don't know. They like a more chiseled version of Jacob. I'd be a little older too, but it'd be cool.
So Channing Tatum playing the role of Jacob Beals. And what would be the name of the movie? What do you think?
Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe Automobiles or maybe just Beals. They might keep it simple.
Just like Beals. Like it's like block letters.
Yeah.
Like this in a world this summer. And it's like, and I can hear like B-E-A-L, like like on the screen. I could hear that. I could see it now. Beals.
Well, I think they reboot movies sometimes, and I always like when they just have it like, it'll be like just like a one-word title, or they'll put a "the" in front of it, or sometimes they'll add an S to the end, like it started with Aliens, and then they did Predators and Twisters,
Yeah, I think you're right. Add an S on there. So but we wouldn't just have Beal.
Yeah, no.
There's no singular Beal.
No.
So a movie where you're showing off your super strength on there. It's Beals. And then is there like a Batmobile, almost like a Mobiles or Beals Wheels or something like that?
Wheels on Wheels sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Are you delivering meals on wheels too?
You could be, yeah. So that might be a power.
So super strength, but your only weakness is feeding the hungry.
Yeah, yep, that's it.
You're like, Beals, stop. Somebody's over there. Like, I'm going to hop in the Beals on Wheels after I deliver some meals on wheels from Beals.
You got to do it.
There's starving kids out there, but you got to save this. There's kids hungry. I can see that. That would be a good moral. That'd be like a Dark Knight style, like, who do we save? Right? Yeah. I love it.
It'd be a good dilemma.
Yeah, it would be. I like that a lot. So that could, if let's say you're in the radio world and you're in the podcast world, you've hit the height of everything. If you're looking for where do I go next? I'm already the top radio star. Next, movie star.
That would be. I guess that'd be pretty cool.
That's the next step up. What else can you do? So once again, I'd love to be your agent on that one. 10% is all I'm looking for on there. Consider the green M&Ms separate. Consider the girls that hang out. I'm just you can ask for these things. Those are things you can ask for when you're in that level of power, you know?
Well, I've always thought, obviously, I would making movies. When you're a big movie fan, you do think about that. It'd be a fun thing. But also, maybe this is weird. I've had this thought, but I've always thought, man, if I did ever make movies, I wonder if it would like ruin the fun of watching them, you know, like because it would like become a job.
Sure. And
I would worry about that.
A lot of musicians, that's their biggest gripe. You know, if I have to do it for money, it's not going to be fun anymore. I can't play the stuff I want to play, but I also want to make a career out of it. And would it be fun? Could you even enjoy watching a movie? You're going to pick it all apart.
Exactly.
You know?
And you're like, well, that'd be like more work. It's like, I'm watching this to see what, other people are doing to influence mine. I don't know. It'd just be, there's so many things that I'd wonder about,
And doesn't that happen everywhere? I mean, on the radio, when let's say you're driving around, you go to a different town, you're flipping around the dial and you hear somebody like, oh my God, they're talking way too long of a break. Yeah. And it's just like, you're overly critical because you do it for a living.
You start listening to those things, and sometimes, not to like toot my own horn, but sometimes you feel good about yourself because I've heard like commercials because we have a lot of like national spots come through that we have to like record and do our own thing with and put out on the air. But sometimes I'll hear one in like another market or something. I'll be like, I did that way better. I don't know what it was like. They just kind of pieced it together. Yeah. And that always feels good because it's like I'm doing something right.
It feels good sometimes. Sometimes to me it feels bad. I'll tell you why. If I'm driving around and it's like a bigger market, like a bigger city. Yeah. And then that person sounds horrible. Now I'm mad because how'd they get that job?
That's a good point. That's another way to look at it.
Like, how are you on the air in a top 10 market? How are you in Chicago or New York? And you sound like that? Yeah. Like, oh my God, what have I done with my life? You've been in radio for a while. Have you gotten a chance to meet any really cool celebrities?
Oh, yeah. I, being on a country station, I've had a lot of just fun opportunities to meet country artists that I really like Brooks and Dunn. That was a highlight of mine. And I've got to interview a lot, like Trace Adkins and just different ones over the years. It's been fun. It's been a cool, like little perk of the job, I guess you could say. It's neat. And sometimes it'll be an interview, but sometimes we've had things where we just get to go hang out with them, like before a show. And it's like, it's weird.
Isn't it weird? It's almost like they're a normal person. They put their pants on just like me.
Yeah, and all of them have been like nice. I haven't had any I don't have any like bad stories or anything. People always ask me that, but it's like, no, it's all been
Who's
fine.
the coolest one?
The coolest one was Alice Cooper. Oh. And I know he's not country, but we have a classic rock one here in the building. And he has a show on that station, KJJY. It's like a national show. He doesn't come here to do it. But
No, I said no spoil. I said before, no spoilers.
But he is very good at like giving us stuff, and when he was in town last time, we got to go for free to the show, and it was so cool because it was like right before Halloween. It was like the best time to see an Alice Cooper show, and I didn't know this was going to happen when we got there, but he's like, oh, we're going to get to go backstage and meet him, and I'm like, what?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it was like Wayne's World.
We're not worthy.
Yep. And I brought that up to him, which is probably like the dumbest thing
I know, because it's like everybody asks him that same thing.
But the thing is, he was so nice. He was just so kind, and he was very like happy to see us. And it was to the point where like he had to move on, and like his security was like, okay, Alice, we got to go. And he kept wanting to talk to us.
Wow.
So, that's like a good thing,
Yeah. I met Alice way back when. He was super nice. And we were doing a promotion and we wanted to give away something. And we're like, can you send us anything? And we were thinking it was going to be like CDs or DVDs or something just standard, boring, whatever. We opened up the box. And there was a golf visor in there.
Oh.
So we started looking at the end of it. And I'm like, it's not like an Alice Cooper visor. But then I turn it over. And like the head part where it like goes on your forehead?
Yeah.
Super dirty and gross. It was his actual golf visor.
Oh, wow.
So he sent us and it was just like, oh my God. And then I remember the PD at the time was like, they're going to go crazy for this. I'm like, this dirty thing, they're going to love it. And people were trying to win this thing like crazy. Like actually Alice Cooper's golf visor, they could put on their wall and all that, frame it or whatever. And people loved it. So who knows?
And he's a big golfer. That's like one of his things. Yep.
Great golfer, great sweat stains. All of them were right there. I was hoping it'd be almost like, it looked like a regular, like if you or I had like the same thing, gross. I was thinking maybe different, like almost like vampire sweat or like blood or something. But he wasn't bleeding on the forehead, unfortunately. So I love that you've been able to merge all of your favorite things together: movies, comics, TV, all of that with the radio, with the podcast as well. Any words of wisdom for somebody that wants to get into radio or content creation or podcast, any of that? What would you suggest to them?
I guess just have fun with it is the big thing, It's always good to approach these things. It can be a fun job, and you can have some creativity with it. So embrace that as much as you can. And also be willing to take advice and get better. You got to do that all the time. And I never want to get to a point where I'm not learning stuff, where I'm not willing to be open to advice, because if you're that way, I think it really kind of hardens you and it's not good. So I'm always trying to, get advice and be better at what I do no matter what. Because I there's still lots of I don't know,
Yeah. Think about it like this. Athletes, even the best ones in the world, still have coaches. And they still go to why do they go to practice, right? Yep. Why do all-stars go to practice? Because everyone can get better and everyone can learn new things. So keep an open mind. One thing about you too is I don't want to say you say yes to everything, but you basically are agreeable to things that are within reason. And that goes a long way. People don't want walls. They don't want to be like, oh, what do I got to do? It's like you're going to take it and be like, how can I make it my own? Mm-hmm. Especially if it's something that's not so great of a thing, you can turn it into something and make it great. I love that.
Oh, thanks, JP. Yep. Yes. And that's always a good thing to have, I think.
Yeah, it's a very good quality to have. Well, we covered Red Son. Great book. If you like Superman Red Son, I would say, where is the other one I have here? I was going to recommend All-Star Superman. I thought I had it nearby. Maybe I don't. And great book. It's a normal Superman book.
Mm-hmm. He's not a communist.
Not a communist Superman. And they changed the color and everything, but this is a normal, but it's just very well done. And it is still outside of what people call continuity, but it doesn't matter to me. Good stories are good stories regardless. And that's a very good book. And of course, I have the Absolute one because it's big and that's the Absolute. And I absolutely love the Absolute size comics because as I get older, I want the bigger print, the bigger everything. But
absolutely.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you like this show, I showed it off a couple times a little nonchalantly, but you can get a comics.fm mug. Check out how it tastes. Hold on. ASMR. And I got a mug, I got a t-shirt, and I got a sticker. You can go to comics.fm, check out all the links. All the social links are on there. Watch the show on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast audio on Spotify, Apple, all of that. And you can get some killer merch as well. You're going to be, Jacob, if you buy some of the stuff, you're going to be the talk of the town.
That's
and yes,
true.
I did say buy. I didn't say give. Here's the thing. You're coming out of this ahead. You are not compensated for your time with any cash. You got a comic and you got a sticker.
Yeah, you got me a sticker too. Yeah.
Everything's coming up Millhouse right now for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, you're going out. It's like you're leaving Vegas a winner, right? You went in with house money and you're coming out with something. Jacob, where can people find you and all of the things you do online?
Oh, really? My Instagram, Jacob Beals. Everything's on there. My Facebook, I have it so you can follow me if you want. Jacob Beals on there. And Automobiles on TikTok. I got one of those.
Auto, like the bus driver
OTTO.
Auto?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. You got it. Yeah.
you've got a lot of things going on for you right now. You're a busy man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. You're at work right now.
Yeah. This is my office.
I'm interrupting.
Padded walls. Yeah, no, that's okay.
You should be playing country hits right now, and you're talking to me about nerdy stuff. So
that's fun, though.
Jacob, thanks for coming on. Episode number 2, comics.fm. Subscribe, like it, tell your friends. Can't wait to talk more. Comics and radio people, merging them together.